Night in Maple Ridge never truly slept. It only pretended to rest, the way a person lies still while their mind keeps screaming in the dark. And on that particular evening the air felt heavier than usual, as if the street itself was holding its breath, waiting for something it already knew was coming. The Carter house stood quietly among identical suburban homes, yet somehow always felt a little more silent than the others. Emily Carter had lived there for 3 years, but sometimes she still caught herself listening for sounds that no longer belonged to the world of the living. She told herself grief played tricks on memory and memory played tricks on sound. Yet every now and then she would wake at night convinced someone had just stopped walking outside her bedroom door. She never opened it immediately anymore. She waited, because deep down she feared she might actually see someone standing there. That evening Noah was unusually quiet during dinner. Not the normal quiet of a tired child, but the focused silence of someone listening to something far away. His spoon hovered halfway to his mouth while his eyes remained fixed toward the hallway behind Emily's shoulder. She turned once, then again, finding nothing except the soft glow of the nightlight at the far end. She asked what he was looking at, and he simply shrugged and said nothing, which was worse than any childish answer because Noah was never a quiet boy before they moved here. He used to talk endlessly about dinosaurs and space and impossible machines, but ever since the yard sale 2 days ago, he had begun pausing before answering questions, as if consulting a second opinion that only he could hear. The teddy bear sat beside his plate untouched by food, yet somehow present in the moment like another guest invited to dinner. Emily tried twice to move it, and twice Noah gently placed it back exactly where it had been. Not angry, not defensive, just certain, and certainty in children often felt unsettling because they lacked the doubts adults use to comfort themselves. She told herself it was normal attachment behavior, yet she couldn't remember him ever bonding with a toy this quickly. Especially one he hadn't even asked for by name. He never named it, never decorated it, never pretended it spoke. He simply kept it close as if proximity alone mattered. Later that night she tucked him in and noticed he positioned the bear facing the bedroom door again. She adjusted it toward him, joking that toys like to see their owners. But after she kissed his forehead and reached the hallway, she heard the faint scrape of fabric, and when she looked back the bear faced the door once more. Noah hadn't moved. His eyes were closed, breathing steady. She told herself children shift in their sleep and fabric slides easily on wood, yet she shut the door slower than usual. At exactly 2:17 a.m. her phone vibrated softly against the nightstand. The security camera notification glowed pale blue in the darkness. She almost ignored it, but habit made her glance. The hallway camera showed the floor, the wall, the nightlight, and a small shadow standing directly in front of Noah's door. She leaned closer, assuming it was him sleepwalking, yet the proportions were wrong, too short, too square. And before her mind could finish the thought, the video froze. Pixels stretched, then resumed with the hallway empty again. She lay frozen, listening harder than she had in months, and then she heard it. A faint padded movement outside her room, followed by a delicate dragging sound like cloth brushing across wood. It stopped directly at her door. The knob shifted once, gently testing, then stillness returned. She did not open the door until morning. When she finally stepped into the hall, she found nothing except a thin smear across the floorboards, barely visible in daylight. She rubbed it with a tissue, and the faint brown tint made her stomach tighten, though she forced herself to dismiss it as dirt. Children track things indoors all the time, yet she couldn't remember rain recently. Downstairs the news spoke about a neighbor's cat found mutilated overnight. Animal attack, they said, but the description lingered in her head not because of the violence but because of the word precise. The cuts described as unusually clean. Noah listened from the couch, hugging the teddy while the report played, and asked quietly whether animals could be bad inside. She answered automatically, yet his next question, "What happens to bad things?" remained hanging long after the television went silent. That afternoon she tried throwing the bear away. She didn't tell Noah, simply waited until school hours, drove farther than necessary, and dropped it into a gas station dumpster beneath other trash so it would not be visible. She felt ridiculous afterward, yet relieved in a way she couldn't explain, as though removing it corrected a small imbalance in the house's atmosphere. She even laughed at herself during the drive home, until she opened Noah's bedroom door and saw it sitting upright on the bed, exactly centered against the pillow. She stood there for a long time before stepping back out and closing the door, because sometimes the mind needs distance before fear can enter. That night Noah slept easier, calmer, holding the bear gently rather than tightly, and at 2:17 a.m. she did not wait for the notification. She was already awake when the hallway floor creaked. The door opened slowly and small steps moved across the darkness carrying a faint metallic whisper. She rose and opened her bedroom door to see the teddy standing midway down the hall, holding a kitchen knife in its stuffed paw, the blade reflecting the dim light as its head lifted toward her with deliberate awareness, not wandering, not lost, but choosing. And in that moment, Emily Carter understood something impossible had finally chosen to be seen. That night Noah slept easier, calmer, holding the bear gently rather than tightly, and at 2:17 a.m. she did not wait for the notification. She was already awake when the hallway floor creaked. The door opened slowly, and small steps moved across the darkness carrying a faint metallic whisper. She rose and opened her bedroom door to see the teddy standing midway down the hall holding a kitchen knife in its stuffed paw, the blade reflecting the dim light as its head lifted toward her with deliberate awareness, not wandering, not lost, but choosing, and for a second she almost convinced herself she was dreaming until the kitchen light behind it flickered on by itself, and she saw the shadow it cast on the wall was not the shape of a toy, but the shape of a grown man standing upright behind her, breathing softly where no breath should exist. And when she forced her eyes back to the bear, its stitched mouth slowly pulled wider as the threads tightened one by one, the knife tilting toward her as if guided by a hand she could not see. And in that moment Emily Carter understood something impossible had finally chosen to be seen. Just before the hallway light snapped off and the sound of footsteps rushed toward her in complete darkness.